What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're back with career mode once again. Before we get stuck in today's video, make sure you check out yesterday's one because it was an absolute banger. We had an almighty battle with Mr. Last Lap Lando, as you can see on screen right there. That still doesn't really spoil what happens, surprisingly. But regardless, here we are for another episode. Apologies about the lateness of this one going up. The Monaco video, which I uploaded earlier today, took a long time to make. I put a lot of effort into that, as you could maybe have told, or I hope you could tell. But yeah, here we are finally. And in today's episode, we've got a bit of a mammoth episode. We are going through a lot, and I don't normally do this, but I'm kind of dealing with next race's stuff in this episode. So what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be dealing with our second driver contract. We have the choice to renegotiate a deal with Mick Schumacher, or we can alternatively look at who is on the driver market and sign someone for the second half of the season. I'm not firing them, it's just that the game gives me only a 6-month contract length, so this is going to be a thing in my team, is you can go through 2 drivers in one season, but we're just going to weigh up our options. That's simply all we are doing today, and who knows, we could come away from the end of today's episode with a new driver. Potentially someone who is on the current grid. And one thing I want to put out there in the air as well, by the way, is I would love to be able to sign some unsigned drivers right now who are kind of in sabbatical, as you would say. Fernando Alonso, Nico Hülkenberg, and who knows, maybe even Mika Hakkinen. He hasn't officially retired yet, hasn't he? So let's have those 3 drivers on the free agents list. Codemasters, please. That would be nice. And maybe even some Formula E drivers. I don't know. I would hope that we get more drivers added to the pool as the F2 2019 drivers come in with the update further along the line with this year's game cycle. But I would love to see some other drivers who are kind of out there a little bit and established, maybe. I don't know. It would be cool. Paul di Resta, Anthony Davidson. Could we get them on board? I don't know. I don't think Sky Sports would be happy with that. But regardless, I don't know. I think it would be cool just to add to the diversity of drivers that we could choose. But anyway, here we are for Austria. I've done so much of this track recently that I'm instantly in the groove, and I expect there to be some good results here at this race weekend. Engine components are going in, and hopefully that should result in some good pace in qualifying. So let's do this. Alright then, straight into qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix, or is this the Styrian Grand Prix? I can't quite tell. The 2 tracks look eerily similar. It is, yeah, very, very interesting to make comparisons between the 2 tracks. But regardless, we are away for qualifying, and a decent lap to open the account to 103.9. It slots us inside the top 10. Mick Schumacher, very timely of him to be on the pace. Just fractionally ahead of me by a 10th. So he needs to deliver in today's race. And this is something I love about my team, is there's just so much more going for this career mode series. There's so many more elements, so many dimensions. One thing which I never would even think about in previous career mode games is firing your teammate and the prospect of hiring another one, and your teammate on the other side of the garage being under pressure to impress. We actively need to look at his performances, and we're doing that today, and we might even compare him with a few others down the lower midfield. In terms of like people that I'm targeting to be signed, I would love to get like a George Russell or a Lando Norris, potentially Esteban Ocon, maybe someone young who's got some potential. Would be a really great addition to the team, I would say. But final lap of qualifying 1, and this is where we got to pull the pants up and do the business. 1/10 up as we go through the middle sector. We're not exactly safe at this stage. We are on the bubble of getting knocked down in Q1, but we do need a bit of improvement here. I feel like I'm driving actually really well over the course of this qualifying session, but it's not exactly resulting in too much on the timing sheets. Myself and Mick, P17 and P18, we're up by 3.5 tenths as we go through the final couple of corners. Maybe a bit of understeer through the final one. Open the DRS up to the line. I definitely lost over a tenth there, but it puts us in P19. Oh dear. We lost a tenth there out of the final two corners, and we touched the grass on the run up to the line. All those mistakes considered, that's cost us a spot in Q2. Shame. A real shame, because I was driving really well that whole session, and right when the track grip ramped up and everyone improved their times, we improved ours by a bit. 2 tenths is a lot at Austria, which we improved by, but we just missed out on that final fraction, which made all of the difference. So it is time to head into the race for the Austrian Grand Prix, or Styrian Grand Prix. I don't bloody care at this point. It should be a good race weekend. We have good pace, we have good consistency, and decent tyre wear. So I'm certain we can move forward.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964.
Awesome. Okay, so we have confirmation it is the Austrian Grand Prix. Join me in the next episode where we'll be heading off to the Styrian Grand Prix. Could you imagine? No, I'm really glad that we're following along the 2020 calendar as it should have been, because if it was following the real-life calendar of this year, we would be missing a lot of tracks on this year's game. Thankfully, not the case. But either way, here we are for the Austrian Grand Prix. Soft to medium, one-stop strategy, very straightforward. And I'd imagine there might be a bit of tyre wear that comes into this at the back end of this race, being this aggressive. Away we go for the Grand Prix of Austria. Danny Kvyat up ahead has got off to an absolute shocker of a start. And surprisingly, we've got off to a decent one as we go around the outside of him into turn one. There's absolutely no space for us to rejoin on the circuit. So it is P16 for the time being. Somehow we've gained a couple of positions out of that. Heading into turn 3, again we have to take to the extremities of the track to avoid a major crash, but we don't illegally gain a position out of that. We're pretty much where we were, and we can press on with this race. Here comes Danny Kvyat once again. Up our inside. No, that's Giovinazzi with the Alfa Romeo, which is absolutely rapid in a straight line. Take a drink every time I say the Alfa Romeo is either A, rapid in a straight line, or B, a rocket in a straight line, or anything that involves straight line speed and an Alfa Romeo, or 3, me calling it annoying because I can't overtake it. I am a broken record, yes, I realise. Turn 4, we dive bomb. Who was that? Not Giovinazzi, it's Magnussen. Didn't quite work out for us though, as we went in way too deep. That's why slow in, fast out is faster, because we nearly got skedaddled out of the way. Wonderfully flowing commentary today from me today. It's just, you love to see it. Either way, we've held on to the position and we can progress forward in this race like I promised I would, because the pace was not fully showed in qualifying. We are going to prove that this Marduk Motorsport car belongs maybe inside the top 10 in today's Grand Prix. Let's hope that my teammate can follow me through. Again, need to work on the engine. That's something that is going to be a priority for this midway point of this season, so that when we get to Spa, Monza, etc., we're going to have a package that is capable of overtaking and holding its own in a straight line. Because currently, in order to be competitive or racy against some of these guys, I really need to press the overtake button a lot and run in rich revs, something which my teammate, which I would assume is probably not quite on the ball with as much as what I would be. But we now move on to the back of the McLarens, and we've been battling these guys quite a bit over the last few races. If we are having a good race in career mode, we are battling a McLaren. So they're kind of the yardstick at the moment. We can't really match them in qualifying pace, but in race pace, this car really does come alive, and we are able to make the most of AI battling and strategy, and we take the most out of every race that we can. And it continues here today as we get past Ricardo there. using all of the entry space on the run into turn 3. And this is just me having my eye into this circuit. I just feel so in the groove. I'm not even thinking about where I'm braking or where I'm accelerating, gear selection, anything like that. It just flows so nicely. I've done so many laps around here. It's almost like a Monaco level affinity that I have with this place, because I've watched 2 real-life Grand Prix here in the last 2 weeks, done 100% races at the end of the F1 2019 game life cycle. I've done this career mode race, I've done a live com race, I've probably done a few online races here as well. I basically live here at Austria now. I should apply for some residency. It's getting that bad. But once we get to another circuit, then you'll see just how crap I am everywhere else. Back to the race then, and we see a yellow flag up ahead. Someone is smoking massively. That was Sergio Perez, who just basically stopped in the middle of the straight, and the 3 of us, Ocon, Raikkonen, and myself, just got sent like Skittles either side of the circuit, and somehow we've all avoided what would have been an aeroplane crash on the back straight. I'm going to show you about 10 dozen replays from every angle of this. Oh, wow. How have we all missed that? I have no idea how. I was kind of blindsided by Checo there. I didn't know where he was going. All I could see was smoke and just rear wings in front of me, and I had to make a split-second decision. With DRS fully open, mind you, we managed to flick left with the steering, avoid the car, and also not lose the back end by measure of just wreck avoidance. I was very happy with that. It's P10. We're in the points now. Don't know if we're legit P10 and whether people have made early stops off of their soft compound tyres. I don't think so, because we're on the softs as well, and there's no one really behind us that really stands out. That shouldn't be that far back. Maybe the Renault of Ricardo. Ricardo's not doing great in this race, it seems. Perhaps overheating for the Renault, much like in its real-life counterpart. Either way, lap 11, lap 12 make that, as I edit on to another clip very quickly. We're trying to put some pressure on Kimi Raikkonen, who's also trying to put pressure on Ocon. I'd imagine we will be coming into the pit lane in a matter of minutes to put the medium tyre on to run to the end. I wonder if anyone's going to go hards to the end. We are trying to find a way all the way around the outside of Raikkonen at turn 4. Didn't quite work out for us there, as we got a whole shed load of wheel spin. We've got Carlos Sainz looking up my inside and then bailing out of it, deciding to make a pit stop. So here we go. I asked if anyone was going to go on the hards, and it looks like Ferrari have, in Ferrari typical fashion with their race strategies. Carlos Sainz, future Ferrari driver, he's going on the hards as well. Why not? You may as well wait out another couple of laps, lads, and then you can chuck on mediums to go to the end. You're going to be so much faster. I don't understand. Massive back end loss as we follow in the dirty air of Kimi Raikkonen. I'd imagine we'll be coming in very, very shortly. Our rear tyres are going off. There still is, as well, by the way, a massive downforce imbalance with the front and rear. We have much more front end than what we do rear end, and it's exposed a little bit here in this Austrian Grand Prix as the rear tyres wear out of the back end of this stint. We do get up the inside of Raikkonen, Lando Norris style, as he got balked massively. Come on, Ben. Sort it out. I mean, drifting is fun and all, and it was very satisfying to catch these drifts, but that is by no means the fastest way to go around the circuit. The funnest, but not the fastest. Looking back at my teammate Mick, who has just made his stop onto hard compound tyres himself. Hamilton behind us, and it is pit window time. So we stretched it quite far, 15 laps into this Grand Prix, but we've lessened the load for the incoming set of medium tyres, which means we should have really good pace to put pressure on the edge of the top 10 runners, and hopefully be on target for another points finish in today's Grand Prix. Tyre wear has been pretty good despite my back end losses, so I will take that. Onto the medium tyres. Good stop from the boys. It was 1.9 seconds, but we got held for Raikkonen in the pit lane. No, it wasn't even Raikkonen, it was Stroll. It was a racing point we nearly caught up to. And look at the pit gantry, the traffic light. We just missed the opportunity to get out in front of the racing point by... It would have been green for about 0.2 of a second, if that. It's a shame we missed that window, because that would have been a free position and probably about a second or two gained there. So, unfortunate. But we move for the second half of this Grand Prix. We've got a stranded McLaren in the pit lane. Not too sure what's going on there. Carlos is in again. He's got hard compound tyres. You remember he stopped a few laps ago, and he's in again for some reason, but they're not servicing him. Maybe they're waiting for Lando to come in. No, they're servicing him now. I don't understand what's going on there at McLaren. But each to their own. Carlos lost about a lap or two there in that exchange. I'm surprised he didn't get disqualified. That's actually happened to me before in online. I've been stuck there for a long time, and then because I'm stuck and not moving, the game has disqualified me. How cruel is that? Let's hope that never happens to me again. And meanwhile, we let Romain Grosjean go. He's recently put on a fresh set of softs in the Haas, which is a slower car, but with those tyres on, he'll be faster. So I decided to let him go, and I immediately regret that decision, because as soon as I let him go, he didn't really get away from me. And if anything, his pace is a bit worse than mine now, and he's just holding me up. So we're going to take the initiative on this next lap, and we are going to put the moves on him if we can. So, setting up the move on the exit of turn 3. The AI are garbage at turn 3, always have been. And it's really accentuated there with Grosjean's poor pace. Around the outside at turn 4. And this is quite a contentious move here. We do lose the back end ever so slightly with wheel spin. Can we hold on to it though as we head into the left-hander? We do, with the better tyres. I don't even know if we've got better tyre condition at this stage. It's very confusing as to where Romain Grosjean's pace really is. He's a bit all over the place. And he finally picked up the pace trying to get back in front of me. But it would have been nice, Romain, if you would have showcased that pace while you were in front of me. Not very smart. 15 laps to go. And we are inside the top 10. We're holding down P8, which would be 4 points against our name. Lance Stroll is up next. The guy who we could have rejoined in front of in the pit stops had my reactions been a little bit better. But now we are trying to do it on track. We are closing him in ever so slightly. It's about half a tenth to a tenth a lap, depending on how I nail it and battery allotment, etc. coming into the fore of my pace. But lap 28, I'm just throwing caution to the wind now. I realise I am down on fuel. I've decided to just go for it, because if I can get within his DRS and his slipstream, then I can save fuel and not worry about it and achieve lap time a whole lot easier. So that's the strategy. With 7 laps to go, we're on the verge of getting DRS here. We're actually 8 tenths back as we lose the back end. We do finally get DRS for the first time in this stint. And now we can look at recovering some fuel, charging up the battery just a little bit, and then just kind of slowly creep up to him if we can. We do have maybe better tyre wear than that racing point as we showcase how not to look after the tyres. So we're just slowly phasing ourselves into this battle, and we've got to a point now where we can definitely attack. So let's see if we go for the move on this occasion. Doesn't look like it because I'm not in overtake. If I was serious about getting the move done, I would be in overtake. But just like Monaco in today's earlier video, a little bit hard to recover some battery. It's a little bit more possible, but it takes a long time to really charge it up. And that's essentially what we're doing. We're getting our fuel in the green as well. Losing the back end once again for good measure. Why not? But lap 33 here. We are getting to the business end of this Grand Prix. We're tucked up right behind the rear wing of Lance Stroll here. This might be the moment. Here we go. We're up in overtake. It's go time for P7 in this Austrian Grand Prix. Is it going to be inside? Yes, it is. A little bit tentative under brakes there. I could have gone in a bit more committed. But it looks like we get the move done anyway. And we are through for P7 with only 3 laps to go. There's the replay. And look at me, I'm an adaptive driver. I'm learning from everyone else's mistakes that they're making in real life, and I'm leaving space on the outside. I don't want anyone else to be Alboned in this Grand Prix. Speaking of Albon, we've got a Mercedes in the lane. Not Hamilton, it's Bottas. So he's potentially going for a faster lap strategy. Bottas actually rejoined in front of me, but too far up the road for me to do anything about it really, and he's trying to chase down one of the Ferraris at the back end of this race, and Albon as well. So let's see how Albon handles that situation as Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. It is Mercedes dominance once again. He comes out of the final corner. It looks like no one is around him. Mercedes have been developing really well lately, and they make the most of their financial effort that they've been putting in this season. Here comes Lance Stroll. Mercedes B-Tech team coming in here, the pink Mercedes, and it looks like he is going to have to fight another day. There's no way you can overtake into the last corner when you're that far back, and we are going to hold on for P7, 6 points in this Austrian Grand Prix.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Not bad at all. We've had a streak of points finishes lately, mostly P9s, but this time P7 and Driver of the Day. Not a bad day out.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
There he is, the man of the moment, Lewis Hamilton, getting another W in this career mode series. I do need to keep stock of where everyone is in the driver's standings. I realize in the last few races it has been very closely contested in every race. There's always been like nose to tail action crossing the line, so it's been a bit tit for tat as to who takes wins, but we'll have a look at the driver's standings in just a moment. It is P7 for us today. Mick Schumacher not on the first page of results, which is troubling. So we finished 30 seconds off the lead. Mick is another 30 back from me. Fastest lap wise, I think it was similar. So he's got good pace, but not good consistency. Oh no, it's not even close in the fastest lap. Never mind. So Mick was slow and inconsistent. HMMM indeed. He is last out of anyone who hasn't scored. Oh, he's leading out of anyone who hasn't scored a point, so at least there's that, but it's not really much. Ferrari lead the constructors. Still P7 in our little race, so it's tricky. It is really tricky. We're gonna have to come to a decision in a minute. So it's tough. I don't want to be the guy that fires someone. I feel like he hasn't really had a fair shot yet. It's only been 11 races. 11 races in a backmarker car. We don't want to turn ourselves into Red Bull, do we? But we are going to consider the options, see who we can pick up driver market-wise. Good flow of cash coming in. I have saved up a little bit just in case I do want to sign someone. So we can't sign anyone amazing. Maybe one of the lower down drivers. I think anyone from like AlphaTauri, Williams down, I think they might be in our price bracket. We'll have to wait and see.
Here, you can make an offer to your driver. The more you offer, the greater the chance of them agreeing to it. But be careful not to insult drivers though. If you do, they might refuse to deal with you anymore in this negotiation period.
Yikes. So, moral of the story, don't be stingy. So, we're going to have to pay top dollar if we want to have someone decent. Mick is asking for, okay, mid-level 2.5 mil. We could cheap out and get him for 2.4 mil, or we can go the safe route and go 2.6. So that's the benchmark, I suppose. 62 rated. It looks like his pace has gone up. I think he was 76 pace last time I checked. So that's nice to see. His racecraft and awareness has definitely gone up. So as a driver, he is improving, and that's partly down to the training we've given him. But looking at everyone else, they're quite expensive. We've got less than 5 mil. So, the likes of Nicholas Latifi down, our kind of bracket. George Russell, he's on our watch list. We can't afford him. Can't afford K-Mag either. So, it's Latifi, De Vries, Jack Aitken. Jack Aitken was another one I was looking at. But, to be honest, Jack Aitken is slightly slower. He does have much better racecraft and awareness. But all things considered, Mick is a fast driver, hasn't had a fair shot at things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer him quite a high contract. I'll give him the safe high 2.6 mil contract, and we will have him on board for the rest of the season. So there we go. We're going to give Mick a second chance. Not even a second chance. We're going to enable him to finish off his rookie season in Formula 1. I think he deserves that. But what we're going to do for the rest of the season is we're going to train Mick and put the resources behind him and really develop him as a driver and see what he can do for the second half of the season as this Marduk Motorsport car improves. I think the goal now is for Mick to get points. That's going to be the bare minimum. If Mick Schumacher does not get points some point this season as the car is getting better, he won't be signed if he doesn't get points. That is the promise that I am giving him heading into Season 2. But guys, that is where we stand for this career mode series. I was going to cover off more things like the sponsor that we're going to rake in for this next episode. We are Acclaim level 10 now, so we've got a third secondary sponsor, and that is going to be massive for cash influx. Their sponsor bonuses and weekly income is just that much higher than any of the sponsors we already have, which is pretty crazy. So we should be building a lot of momentum, and we're going to put those resources behind Mick and further development of the facilities. So we're going to be ramping it up massively for the second half of the season. We're going to target engine performance as well. We've got an invitational event to take care of in the next episode, as well as spend the rest of the money that we didn't spend on a driver today. We have saved a bit of money by just re-signing Mick, and so we're going to put that back into the team. So join me in the next episode as we continue the housekeeping duties of running a Formula 1 team. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2020 content. And if you haven't already, check out my video from earlier today where we did a 100% race driving as Lewis Hamilton at Monaco. It was a very good race. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.